Welcome back to Andertons TV. My guest today is Jack Ruch, who is in England for a few days doing some guitar-related stuff. So welcome to Guildford.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Yeah.
We will undoubtedly be talking about Jack's new album at some point in this video, but let's be honest with you. What I really want is a free guitar lesson.
Yeah, let's do
and I'm
it.
sure that's what you want as well. If you're not familiar with Jack, you know what? I'm just going to ask you to play something, because just watch this.
Let's do it.
And this is, you'll want a lesson, I promise you. Oh man. So I guess when I first started watching you on Instagram and YouTube, I was hearing someone who was starting relatively conventional blues tracks, not playing at a million miles an hour, so not necessarily like a Joe Bonamassa style, Eric Johnson style.
Yeah.
And then playing, as soon as you move away from like the sort of the one chord or whatever like that, just introducing these really fabulous sounding, what looked, so something that I could achieve, as in if I knew what notes to play. And so tell me about, look, that's what we're going to kind of talk about in this video, and hopefully going to come away from this with just being able to break out of some of those more just, cliche kind of blues licks that we're all playing.
Absolutely. So, I'm an avid jazz listener and fan, so I like those sounds, but I grew up a blues player, so, my roots are still in traditional blues. But I love mixing those two things, and I love players that do that. I love listening to jazz guys play the blues, and I love bluesy players that have a little bit more sophistication. And I never really had those fast chops, growing up to do all that stuff. So it was always kind of thinking about ways to make my solos more interesting without, reverting to speed and flashy techniques. And so harmony kind of became the key for me, was understanding how to move from one chord to the next and play interesting things. And the cool thing about the blues is, like, it can go so deep. You can obviously play really simple pentatonic type things, but then there's so much more harmony you can add to it. So like a minor blues like that.
So you're just playing like an A minor.
Playing an A minor to a D minor, and then I was doing like an F major 7 to an E7 sharp 9 kind of thing. That kind of chord progression, which is in a million songs.
Yeah, interestingly, so what would you call that? And apologies for anyone that's a bit more advanced than I am.
Yeah.
So you've got the one chord there, which is your A minor, and then the 4 chord is your D minor 7. What are you calling that F chord?
Well, that's a flat 6 chord.
Okay.
And
because you wouldn't necessarily, that's the one that perhaps I wouldn't play, as in just, I love the sound of it and I'm going to start playing it now, but that's not in your sort of, your ABC blues book.
Yeah, well, you'll hear it in songs like The Thrill Is Gone, but sometimes you'll hear it as a dominant, you know? You'll hear like a dominant flat 6 chord to a 5
so
chord.
I would almost call that like a passing chord.
Kind of, yeah. But, you know, you hear it in, so I like to play a major 7, but you can just the same play a dominant 7.
So it's a relatively conventional 1-4-5
Pretty
sort
much,
of blues thing
yeah.
with that extra 6 chord in there.
Yeah, but there's a lot you can add. So, like the spots you're talking about. So, if I'm playing a blues solo, something like that, one of the things I'm always thinking about is, you know, what's the style we're playing, especially if you're playing with other musicians. Like, what's really required of you as a guitar player? Sometimes playing the hippest, most outside jazzy thing isn't really appropriate for the situation. Something like that that's kind of funky, I think of sort of like a Albert King or B.B. King thing. To me, the appropriate way to start is to play something soulful and bluesy, kind of melodic, but with some edge to it.
We're keeping the audience. We're not introducing necessarily the tension yet. This is familiar, right? So over the 1 chord, over the A minor chord there, this is the objective is what? Stay familiar, kind of.
Stay familiar and kind of, play something soulful, you know.
So what do you? So okay, so let's
So I
literally
might
break
play
this down over
something
the
like,
one, then, yeah.
You know, a pretty traditional pentatonic line, and then I might do sort of a call and response. So that would be the first part. And then a call and response.
And always trying to end that little run back on an A note somewhere? Or
not necessarily. Not
Okay.
necessarily. You know, there I'm literally just playing out of the pentatonic scale, but you could add things like add the 9 in there. And yeah, you could end wherever you want. I like to do that kind of call and response.
What do you mean? Because call and response,
Well,
I almost feel
think
like
of it
it's
as like a way of phrasing, almost the way a singer would, where you play a phrase, you leave a space, and then you play another phrase.
Right.
With a 12-bar blues, you have that 4 bars out front. So you have room to establish a motif and then repeat that motif before the chord change happens.
So this is where I think everyone's going, okay, I'm still with you here. We've played the 1 chord and we've played the minor pentatonic scale over the 1 chord.
And it could
call
be
and
any
response.
combination of things.
And I think, again, for players that haven't maybe broken through this yet, just, you know, where you're still going, right, I know what key it's in, I know what scale I've got to play, go. Just break that playing into a phrase, a pause, a phrase and a pause, rather than just relentless scales. That will help massively. Okay, so here's where you're then going to that D minor.
So then going to the
chord.
D minor. So this is where you know, we can get into the theory of it all, but essentially what I'm doing is using, so in jazz a lot of times it's really common to utilize a dominant 5 chord to get to another chord. So in this case we're going to D minor. So you would look at what is the dominant 5 chord of D minor, which is A7. Now we're in A minor.
Okay.
But if you're moving to that chord, say you're playing in A minor, and then using that chord to get there. But there's a hipper way of doing it.
You can't stay on that long, can you?
The hipper way of doing it is taking that A7 and playing a diminished chord over it, substituting a diminished chord. So without getting too deep into the theory, within this A7, there is a diminished triad hiding in there. And if we make it a full diminished 7th chord, we get this kind of sound where we're where we get all this tension. There's a ton, and you can play, these kinds of things. You can also play, really nice things. So if you're playing A minor, going to D minor. So that's that extra bit of tension. And so when you understand, like, that's the chord we're playing, these diminished chords are symmetrical and they can be moved around the fretboard. The easiest way, and kind of the line I played in the first example, is to look at this A7 chord, go to the third, C sharp, and play up a diminished arpeggio. So that's the line,
Is it possible for you to... This is so I don't really understand enough theory to know when you're talking about a diminished chord and the triceps.
Yeah.
What I'm I'm more of a pattern kind of player.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll kind of know as I'm moving between, say, major and minor scales, that I'll see it in patterns.
Yeah.
And a lot of the notes that you look there, I kind of, I would sort of feel like going, oh, that's the blue note within a pentatonic kind of pattern.
Yeah.
So it didn't look like you'd moved too far out of what I would consider kind of like blue notes, if you like, within like an A minor pentatonic scale.
Not at all, really. Basically what we're playing is, forget that we're in the key of A minor for a second. We're moving to D minor, and we're playing out of this A7. And so what we're playing is notes right out of this chord, the third, fifth, and flat 7. And then we're playing this B flat. That's the real tension note.
Yeah.
That's because it resolves down a half step. So it's that. And then we're resolving to chord tones of this chord. Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the movement. And really the way to get into it is just learn a lick and start finding where it fits into that spot and start playing it, and your ear will start picking up on those notes. And you'll start feeling the phrasing of how to get into that. So if we're playing our original solo, right, and we repeat that, and then, right, and there you hear the chord movement happening.
It's really important that you end on that sixth fret of the B string, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the whole phrasing trick, is to have a landing spot in mind and target that spot, and that's why you have to kind of apply it in rhythm and have it sort of settle into place.
Yeah.
But you can move these kind of things all over the place. I could play that. I could play, I could play all kinds of things. All kinds of cool diminished lines.
Once you're now on like the D minor chord,
exactly, yeah.
Are you going back to something familiar again? What's the...
I mean, you have a lot of choices. Like, you can play... Yeah, once you're on... So if I continue building this solo, then I can go back to my A minor to land back on that A minor. I also... you have a lot of options. One of the things that I do a lot, that I talk about in lessons, is over a minor chord. Again, most of the stuff I play is based on chords. It's based on understanding the harmony of what chords sort of fit over other chords, almost like blueprints. You go, okay, here's the A minor, but now we can add this diminished to go to the D minor. Over a D minor, one flavor I like to add is go up to the minor third and play F major 7. Because that gives you this extended 9 sound, right? And that's a really great arpeggio if you can get it under your hands to play over D minor, even if you're just playing over a vamp, you know.
On that, just, I apologise. Right?
Yeah,
There's going to be some people watching this racing ahead, and other people going, "Oh, you've lost me already." Just bear with. I think I'm somewhere in the middle here. So I get it, right? I don't have the theory to know that F chord is a chord that would work over the D minor.
Well, so the idea is, and you know, I didn't either when I started doing this stuff. A lot of these ideas were things I picked up from listening to other players, and you go, what is that? It's exactly like what you said. You go, what is that thing I'm hearing? The diminished thing I heard from listening to Grant Green albums, where he would play blues, but he would put those diminished things in there, and I go, what is that? And you learn one, and you sort of get it under your fingers, and you go, okay, I think I've got this one lick down. And then you just start slowly moving, the same way you would do with a pentatonic blues phrase. You learn a phrase like, and then you go, oh, that's also here, or you move it around and find different places that it works, and then slowly over time it starts to pull apart and become other things, you know.
Is there a pattern that you could relate back to one of the sort of pentatonic sort of positions that my brain would go, oh, that's what you mean when you've gone to that sort of F arpeggio?
Yeah, well,
or not really.
I think the kind of the point of it is a little bit to break away from those pentatonic patterns, because that, I mean, in my teaching world, that's one of the things that comes up the most, is like, I'm stuck in the pentatonic boxes. How do I break out of it? And I know, because I was that way myself as a young player. And it's kind of like seeing these chords, you know, if you're, these two chords are related, right? An F major and a D minor. They're relative to one another. If you were to play, the F major scale is the same as the D minor scale, right?
Right.
Same as C and A minor are all the white keys on the piano, right? Just with a different root note.
See, and that's what I'm trying to sort of understand, whether that's the key to unlock. Because I get that, you know, fundamentally, if I'm playing,
like if you play an A minor pentatonic and I play a C major chord underneath of it.
Yeah, or I can play C major scale.
Yeah.
And it'll
over an A minor.
Over an A minor. So, so that's the bit that I'm sort of going, you know, if you go back to, and you were playing, so
if you played, just play some F major idea over this chord. More of like a
F. I've got to sort of get into. See, I'm terrible at this, so I end up having to sort of find the F root.
Yeah, that's fine. So there you are in D minor. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that works great over an F chord. You play it over D minor, now you're playing a D minor scale.
So everything that you were playing then over that D minor is within...
Right, that's all. Yeah, I'm just looking at that chord as an option. And really it's just a way of breaking up the scale.
I'm just going to watch this video back about 20 times after we're done till it's sort of
I find personally scales can be a bit of trouble for players to find melodies in there. Because if I just tell you, okay, it's a D minor chord, You can play a D minor scale. I see so many players go, okay, I'll learn the boxes, and then I know all that works, and then I just kind of play through it.
Yeah.
Without connecting the notes to the underlying chord. And it becomes a little bit of a meandering kind of mess where when you think about the chord you're playing over, the notes that are in that chord, those notes really connect melodically. That's like if I play a thing like that, that's a melodic phrase that fits over that chord. Whereas if I just play some meandering scale thing,
Yeah.
it loses that connection. So I'm all about understanding the chord tones and then branching out from that. So for me, playing this, really connects melodically to that chord. So that's one of the things I would do. But you don't have to. That's a thing to practice for the future.
So we did the sort of. We've got this idea of starting with the 1.
Yeah.
Going to the sort of the 4, but throw in the.
Yeah,
the 6.
chord. So there's a lot of options we can play over this. And here's the thing: if I was soloing over that type of chord progression with a band on stage, and it was kind of a loose, improvised situation where I could solo for a couple minutes, I wouldn't necessarily right out of the gate be like, let me throw in every chord substitution I know, let me do every hip transition to get from one chord to the next. I may start the solo exactly the same way you would want to start a solo. Just play pentatonic, build some themes, leave some space, play some nice soulful ideas. The whole idea is just to have more ideas in the tank to explore new stuff, because like everybody, you get bored with your own playing.
Yeah. Let's just try and get back to let's finish. I would love, and I don't know if this is going to be terribly embarrassing, I would love to finish the progression. So we talk a little bit about what you're then going to play over the E chord in that as well. Resolve back to the 1, and then I would love to have a go. And as you're playing the sort of chords, I don't know, just shout at me like try this, do that, and I'll see whether or not my brain can kind of, because I think I've got to resign myself that I don't think I'm ever going to put the hours in and retain the knowledge that I need to unlock the theory. So I think I've just got to try and, I don't think it's more than muscle memory, but I've just got to try and work out in my own guitar language.
Here's the thing I'll say about the theory. I've been teaching a lot for the last 5 years, and theory is a really valuable thing for communicating with people in a teaching. In teaching, to be able to explain to somebody that's struggling to understand an idea, explain it with language rather than just playing it. But as a player, in my own playing, it's all about hearing it. It's all about having the sound in your head. Sometimes it's helpful to sort of be able to understand it in theory language, but really it's not necessary. And I think you already kind of hear some of those things, sort of a thread you want to pull on that's going to lead somewhere. So it's just a matter of getting a few ideas under your fingers and going, okay, this is cool, I'm digging this, and then see where that leads. Well, look, so we've done the 1, we've done the 4. You kind of got to the. What are you playing? You're playing. We don't even have to do that. We can do a straight 1-4-5 blues if you'd like. There's a lot over this type of chord. I basically just would still play chord tones, And then over the 5 dominant chord, that's where, traditionally in a minor blues, that's the one chord that's not in the key of A minor, right? Or it's not really, because it's got this note in it, right? So that's the note a lot of people get stuck on if you're playing. And you play, I mean, which you can, obviously, but it's really nice to be able to, you know, play that major third of that chord. So a lot of it, and this is what I talk about a ton, is learning your chord tones, you know, learning the notes of the chord.
Yeah.
Which is a simple concept. I always say it's like, you know, just think, if you're struggling with a chord change, just go, what's the chord you're playing over? What are the notes in that chord? With an E7, it's E, G sharp, B, and D. Those are the 4 notes. Now, where are those notes on the fretboard?
Yeah.
Simple to say, fairly difficult to do if you're new to it. You know,
I forget which guitar player it was that was being interviewed, but it was either, you know, I can't remember, but I think it was, fun enough, we talked a bit about Joe Pass before you came, but I think it was someone who was having lessons from Joe Pass, and it was like week 1, just learn the notes on the fretboard. You know, and then like when I say to you, play this note, you go immediately to it. And he came back and there was like a split in his first lesson. He'd spent a week learning the notes, and it was like Joe Pass shouts out a note and there's like a split hesitation of where is it? And like Joe Pass like, no, lesson over. Go away. And the notes on the fretboard.
Well,
I was like,
and
wow,
it's like
brutal.
These are all things people talk about all the time. Like, you have to know the notes on the fretboard. But, I mean, really, so much of it is about context. Like, you have to know where you're going in the context of what you're playing. So, things like practicing arpeggios or practicing scales, I always tell students, you know, have a song. If it's like a minor blues like this, like a Thrill Is Gone type thing, that's a great tune to practice over. Have that as your base, and then practice the things that fit in that context. So you're learning your pentatonic scales, say, or you're learning your arpeggios, or you're learning your diminished passing chords, but you're learning them specifically to use in that piece of music. And then over time, you'll learn the notes of the fretboard, but you'll learn them, you know, in a musical way, because it's impossible to just sit and go, okay, let me just memorize the fretboard.
It's like learning a language, isn't it? It's like, I sort of feel, you know, my guitar playing is the equivalent that in French I know how to order 2 beers and ask where the train station is. Like, and actually that'll get you quite a long way in France. You know?
Absolutely. Well,
but it's not the same as just being able to speak it, and I think that's the level.
Well, I mean, my personal path of playing started as a kid, just learning off of records and just learning licks that I heard people play. You know, a lot of blues players listening to Freddie King or Peter Green or somebody like that, and you hear a great lick, you learn it, you know, as best you can, and then you know it in that spot on the fretboard in that key, and you go, great, if we're playing in G, I know this G lick. And then I was lucky enough to go out and play with a lot of older musicians and actually play gigs, so I just, you know, the muscle memory and the repetition came in of like, okay, I'm playing this a lot. And then you start to discover little things from that. And then as an adult, actually took the time to sit down and go, okay, there's a ton of holes in my playing. By that point, I could get a pretty good sound out of the guitar. I knew how to play things confidently, but I didn't really know the fretboard. And so that's where sitting down and going, okay, if I'm playing an E minor and I come up to a 5 chord and I want to play the chord tones, I have to know, you know, all these arpeggio shapes.
I was about to say, I don't think I've ever practiced arpeggios, ever. And maybe that's a big problem for me.
I think it's super useful. I don't think it gets talked about enough. I know a lot of guitar education specifically focuses on scales, and a lot of talk about modes. I don't, I play modal things, but I don't ever really think in terms of modes. I always tend to think in terms of what are the chords we're playing over, what's the harmony, and then what are the notes in those chords, and then where can I go from there? Once I understand that an E7 chord is made up of these 4 notes and I can play them, then it's like, okay, well, what other things? Well, I can play diminished stuff, I can play, altered things, melodic minor. I can play diminished, which all kind of stem from that fundamental knowledge.
Let's try and do this once round, or round a couple of times. You can kind of go first, and then I'll see if I can.
Do you want me to comp or?
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Okay.
I mean, we can both kind of comp the chords, but you show me what you want to do. So we'll do a bit of this. I'd love to spend 5 minutes just talking about the gear, and then
of course.
I obviously want to finish talking about this, which you guys all need to do. And again, whereabouts I think I just need to sign up to one of your courses and try and follow you a bit more. So.
Let's comp through it together one time and kind of set up the groove and get on the same page, and then you take a couple rounds.
Okay.
Okay, great. So 1, 2, 3, 4. To F.
So where am I going here? You're saying this? I'm just still playing the A.
You're playing great. Go back to A minor. Now, that's great.
You show me how it's done. Flippity flute.
Sorry, I was a little overplaying.
You
there.
weren't at all. It's just some days I play the guitar and I feel pretty good about myself, and other days I go, there's like a long way to go on this journey.
You sound great.
Oh no,
you do.
I don't believe you, but anyway. Man, it's okay. So I'm going to rewatch this 1,000 times. If I want to sign up to, do you just do like free stuff on Instagram, or can you just sign up for your?
Well, my YouTube channel is full of free guitar lessons talking about all this kind of stuff. It's a little bit, you know how YouTube is. It's like I just make random videos based on what I want to talk about. So. You know, if you're trying to find specific things pertaining to this, you may have to kind of sift back through and look at some different lessons. But I talk about all this stuff in depth
Well, I just need to put the hours in. I'm still. I don't know. I'm waiting for someone to invent the pill that I can just take and then become better.
Yeah. Well, I also have I have some great courses with Brett Papa,
Yes.
where we talk about this stuff in depth. I have the last one we did, which is called Melodic Blues Soloing. Talks a lot about this specific kind of stuff.
Well, maybe that's the one. That's the one. So look, let's do. I hope you enjoyed that. By the way, I know lots and lots of you are in a similar place in your guitar playing to me, and hopefully enough of that made sense for you to feel like you can take something away, or that you want to go and look at some more of Jack's tuition and work it out. Okay. So we're talking about gear now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're sounding great today, and you've bought your own guitar, and you've bought your own pedal board, and you're plugged into Pete's little deputy amplifier there.
Yeah, great sound.
So what's your... Is this it? Guitar, pedal board, clean amplifier,
Pretty
happy?
much, yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I like to set the... I didn't even really mess with this amp that much, but it sounds great. You know, a little bit of reverb, just a nice... clean sound. I like to have that as a bass because a lot of times if I'm playing rhythm, that's the sound, you know, nothing on. You know, that kind of thing.
Pete was admiring just that your sort of right hand technique and stuff before we started playing, and I kind of think there's good players just plug in and sound good. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. I mean, you know, it takes time. There's you know, players I listen to and I'm just like you know, blown away by a lot of R&B players, you know, like Al McKay from Earth, Wind and Fire is one guy, or you know, Teeny Hodges, who played on Al Green records back in the day. I listened to those guys just play like a clean guitar into like a Fender Twin, and it's so groovy and it's so effortless and smooth. And so,
if you could, again, we were talking a little bit more about. I will get to the gear, just so bear with. But we were talking a little bit about Joe Pass, and I'd said to you one of my enduring memories as a kid, and I kind of wish I'd probably paid a bit more attention, but was that Blue Side of Jazz VHS video that Joe did. And I remember feeling even then, there was like, oh, this is interesting. This is a bit. There's more to this blues game than you know, minor pentatonics and everything. But you know, who would be your I don't know, your top three, or just like guys that you go, these are the guys that, as far as you're concerned, and the style of music you play, are kind of the godfathers of it all?
Well, there's a few different. It kind of. There's sort of a few different aspects, I guess, of my playing. Like there's the straight blues guys, which to me, so much of like my, you know, kind of the overarching thing of what I'm going for on the guitar goes back to guys like Albert King or Albert Collins or B.B. King, where it's like they're just getting to the root of like what playing music and playing guitar is all about. And I would even extend it to somebody like Ray Charles, who's not a guitar player, obviously, but it's like, that's, to me, that's like, you know, if I was on a deserted island with one record, it would be like a great Ray Charles album. It's like, that's kind of the root of what music is all about. So there's those players, but then specifically getting into more harmony and jazz oriented stuff, the guitar players for me, Grant Green is a big one for me, because he kind of plays in a almost like a blues player would play jazz. He's very similar to that kind of T-Bone Walker type of sound. It's not, he doesn't play a ton of chord melodies or crazy octaves like Wes does. So it's kind of a good way in, I think, for blues players. And he plays a lot of great blues, swing blues tunes. So Grant is a huge one for me. I've transcribed probably more of his stuff than anybody. And then Joe Pass and Wes Montgomery. Because I think those are the guys, you know.
Yeah.
And then with rhythm players, because I love funk and R&B and all that stuff too, that's almost a different wheelhouse, because Albert King doesn't really play a lot of rhythm guitar. Grant Green doesn't play a lot of rhythm guitar. But if you're playing in a band and you're playing with other musicians, you know, listening to guys like Bruce Conte from Tower of Power, or you know, Cornell Dupree, who played with Aretha Franklin and Donny Hathaway, those guys have another aspect of playing that I think is really important.
Donny Hathaway. I only even discovered Donny Hathaway where one year at Christmas that like this song came on. I'm like, this is the best Christmas song I've ever heard. Who's this? And you go, Donny Hathaway, and then you get into him, and then you realize
that's a good rabbit hole to go down.
That's
a fun rabbit hole. Yeah.
Monster singer and songwriter.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, lots of stuff to take away there and go and listen. But let's talk about the gear.
Well, we can
Where
go
do you want to start? I mean, I love this guitar. And you were telling me before, this is kind of like a Les Paul that's been through like a mod shop kind of thing.
Yeah, it's done by the guys at Historic Makeovers. I think they're down in Florida. And it's just a Gibson custom shop Les Paul.
Just a Gibson custom.
That they kind of trick out, sort of, I guess, in the way Tom Murphy used to do it, you know, where they finish it really nice and do some relicking and checking. But the thing I like about it, they shape the neck profile in a really comfortable way. The finish itself has a real thin, smooth feel to it. It's not, sometimes new guitars to me can be a bit sticky and goopy when they have the new finish on there. I own a couple of vintage guitars, so I like that old feel, you know. And this guitar is fairly new. I got it this year, but it's really exceptional.
So it's like the car analogy would be if you went and bought your Range Rover and you got like the overfinch kind of. So that's what it is,
yeah,
right? So you start with you find a nice Les Paul that you like, and then you send it to these guys, or you take it to these guys, and they just give it the
they do really good work. They do really good work.
Yeah. I mean, I love the tone of it's great, but then I bet I could give you anything and it would sound good.
My thing is always, you know, I like having a relationship with people that work on the equipment that I play, and I like when people take that extra level of attention to detail to really make something right, because people build guitars, you know, people build these things, not companies. You know, despite what it says on the headstock, it's like when somebody who really cares about their craft puts the time into it, you can feel it in the way it plays. You know.
And I'm trying to think now when I've watched you playing on the internet.
Yeah.
I always in my head I see you with Les Pauls and maybe 335s.
I have an old 335, an old vintage one. That is probably my favorite guitar, but I didn't really want to travel with it, mainly because it's bigger. You know, this fits in a smaller case.
But what I mean is I don't see you, I can't think, like Tellys and Strats and stuff don't really...
I have a Telly, which I've used a lot. Actually, on my record, I played a Telly quite a bit. I'm not much of a Strat guy, but I like the Telly from time to time.
That's interesting. I mean, there's all sorts of folklore over the years of guitar players who are synonymous with the Les Paul in their live show, and then you dig them, find out that actually all the pre-recorded stuff is Telecaster.
Or any other way around. I think when you're in the studio, there's sort of things change a little bit. It's like, well, whatever works, and there's so much attention to just capturing the performance that it's kind of like, this works. Grab it, tune it up, do play your thing you're trying to play, because you don't want to be stuck there doing a million takes and losing momentum. So when I was doing my record, I had my 335 and I had my Telly both there. I didn't have this guitar then, so I would have used it, but it was just kind of a matter of like, okay, this one works better for this. And same with pedals, same with amps, you know, it was just, this works now, let's capture it.
So we've got a pretty simple board down here. You're using Dan Steinhardt's kind of quartermaster to sort of switch them. It's very, very cool. But what have we got? We've got an Analog Man King of Tone.
Yeah.
Which is sort of, blues.
That's what I've been playing this whole time. That's my main overdrive.
But not a lot. I mean, it's not a big overdriven tone, really, is it?
No, it's pretty bluesy. I kind of like it because it sounds like, because I like to run the amp clean, the King of Tone almost sounds like if you've just cranked up an amp. It's very natural in that way.
And both sides on most of the time?
Yeah, for now. So a lot of times when I'm playing live, I'll start with just a boost on, and I'll kind of solo clean a little bit, and then kick an overdrive in sort of midway through the solo. So there's clean with nothing on. There's the boost, which doesn't really change the tone, just adds a little volume. And then, and oftentimes with soloing, I'll put a little bit of delay on. So that's kind of, I mean, I could do an entire gig with just that.
Yeah.
It really works.
The other thing I love about the Strymon delays and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the Brigadier, right? So it's the sort of bucket brigade style delay pedal. I just think Strymon pedals have a secret sauce to the tone as well. Like, it's just something happens to the tone.
There's definitely some kind of buffer. I'm not technically savvy enough to know, but there's something going on.
Yeah.
It's nice to have. I think I just got into using the delay a lot with lead from listening to Robin Ford, and always having that little bit of a...
It's very subtle though, isn't it?
Yeah, with the reverb, it just kind of gives it a little bit of extra dimension and space.
Yeah.
Once you start doing it, it's hard to not do it. Yeah.
I guess given where you're based out of Nashville, and people often call the Nobles ODR1 the kind of the Nashville drive.
Yeah.
It's quite a... I mean, you've got everything set there about 12 o'clock. That's quite a bit of overdrive. So is that like how would you deploy that?
These, so the one thing I know about, I'm not an expert on these, but the one thing I know about the Nobles pedals is the old ones in particular are kind of all over the place with the gain. I've played other ones where having the gain that high up would be very high gain. But this one in particular is sort of a little bit of a lower gain one, but it has a little more gain. The way I use it with this guitar, it's got a lot of low end, so I'll almost exclusively use it with the bridge pickup. And if I go back to the King of Tone, I've been playing on the neck pickup the whole time, but it's fairly bright. If I go to this with the tone all the way up, that's a little bit pokey to me, so I might switch. I'll keep the boost on, but I would switch to this. Kind of has a little bit of a more nasally, mid-rangey thing, and I often will roll that tone down just a little bit. You can get a little bit more of a singing thing, you know?
It's so interesting watching your left hand. Because people often talk about, just for economy, not taking your fingers too far off the fretboard. Your fingers are coming miles off the fretboard, and it's like, but you're like the note that you're aiming for is like super pronounced. It's
I get a lot of comments on that. I don't really think about that kind of stuff, and I wasn't, classically taught or anything. So, everything just leads with here. Like I'm going with what sounds good. So
I think it's look. I mean, everybody. I don't think it really matters what your technique is if the end result is what someone wants to listen to. But it is interesting that it's. I think there's not a danger. What's the right word? Like you can watch so much on the internet of people telling you how to play that you lose whatever your own identity of playing was.
Absolutely.
I think some of the reason my favorite players come from a generation where YouTube didn't exist was because all they were able to do was hear something and then work it out for themselves.
Yeah, and there was a real emphasis in previous generations to sound unique and have your own thing. And I think that's getting a little bit lost with the current generation. But when you think about all the great players, it was like, well, that guy's already doing that. I have to find my own thing. I have to find my own sound. So, but yeah, I've never, because of the stuff I'm playing, sometimes with a certain phrase, I'll have to sit down and kind of work out the fingering. But oftentimes, I'll notice when I'm teaching something, I'll play a phrase and then I'll demonstrate it a second time with a completely different fingering, because I'm not really thinking about that. I'm thinking about the notes and how I want them to sound. And yeah, so much of it is, I want that note to sound that way, and it sounds different if you use different fingers, So yeah, I'm thinking about the sound.
That's great. And then we haven't really hit the small stone on it all. Where are you
the
using
small
that?
stone is. Sorry, let me tune my guitar.
No, you do
this
that.
Poor guitar.
I like that you've got the polytune on the strobe setting. It takes a little getting used to tuning with a strobe, but it's very cool.
So the small stone I use for rhythm almost primarily. I find playing in a band, it's nice sometimes. The small stone and the tremolo I use for rhythm things. I just like having a little bit of movement in the sound when I'm playing.
Was it important to get an old small stone?
I think
so. Is that a new one that's just taken some beating?
No, that one is. I'm not an expert. Yeah. I don't know much about it. They might all be great for me. This was when I walked into a shop in Nashville and I was looking for a phaser and had like all the Phase 90s lined up, and then the guy pulled this out of the back and it blew all of them away. So, and then it turns out I think it's from 79 or 80. And so I was like, great, that's the one. And then I found a second one recently the same year. So
that's probably completely different.
All I know is it works, and so that's what I don't know.
But you like to put movement on the rhythm parts, do you?
Yeah, like if I'm playing. When you're playing with a band, especially with like keyboards and stuff, and somebody's singing, sometimes just having that, it helps it just gives me a sound that I want to hear.
I just wanted Barry White to start singing over that last bit there. That would have been just.
Yeah, I'm into that kind of thing. Yeah.
Can you, now that I've said it, you can't unhear it, can you, Tay? Just like, there's Barry, he's talking about how much he's going to make love to you tonight. And it's just like, we're all in. It's like, I'm not doing it.
So yeah, so I mean, good, that's man. worth
I don't think you hear the phaser deployed that much like that. I kind of feel phasers, people think of, a heavier kind of a funk vibe, or they might think of a Van Halen thing, but that's just lovely, isn't it? That sort of.
Yeah, well, so, I hear I think it's a lot on keyboards, like a Fender Rhodes. You'll hear that kind of thing on there. honestly, one of my friends and influences and great guitar players, Kirk Fletcher, uses a phaser in that way, and I saw him doing that, and I was like, okay, that's nice. So
Another
shout out
amazing
to
player.
Kirk.
Oh, 100%.
I love Kirk.
Is he back in the States now? Didn't he move to Switzerland or something like that for a bit?
Yeah, and then he was in Nashville for a
Okay.
while, which was great to have him around, and then I think he's out in LA now.
No, amazing player. And then lastly, then you got this
The tremolo is
tremolo.
kind of
And
similar.
I noticed you've got like a modded up analog man.
It's just
one.
it's just a little bit louder. The Boss ones, I don't know if it's just a perceived thing, but they seem to, like, you step on it and it kind of gets a little bit quieter.
Right.
Analog Man is a great guy for kind of fixing any issues.
And you're just going like Fender vintage style tremolo.
Yeah. I'll kind of leave it. A lot of times if I want to play some kind of pretty clean thing, you know. You know, any kind of thing like that. You know, I do with my band a lot of Ray Charles type stuff. So
I was just about to say,
Yeah.
some of that playing there reminds me of just, you know, that putting on the Blues Brothers album or something like that,
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
hearing
yeah.
some of that. It's oh man, I wonder if that was just, would that have been for you? Would that have been the decade that you would like just being a working player in the 70s or something? Do you think you'd have just been?
Oh, I
Would that have been
absolutely could have
your
just been
decade, or what would you go?
I could have just been a guy in a matching suit standing in the background with
Yeah.
a bunch of other guys playing, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I like so much music from all those eras. I think with blues in particular, there's a little bit of something that happens where people kind of latch on to a certain era and they become a little bit like a purist. And there's a little bit of, I mean, you kind of see it in like the rockabilly scene or something where it's kind of like, it's more than just the music, it's the whole aesthetic. It's like they've got the hair, they've got the clothes, the whole thing. And the thing about blues is I love it all. I love everything going back from, you know, Mississippi Delta acoustic blues up to Johnny Guitar Watson and like really funky, almost like funk disco stuff from the 70s. I like it all. But there's, at least in the States, there can be a little bit of a purist mentality, like, well, we do this, and, you know, I plug straight into my amp and no pedals and all that. And I guess I kind of push against that because I go, well, I love 70s Freddie King, and I love, you know, Albert King records with a wah-wah in the background playing rhythm guitar and all that stuff. So, yeah, I embrace it all.
Well, that is a good segue. So, new album,
Yeah.
For Her Love. I just read, obviously your name is top of the bill here, but I read the next two names on here and I went, Dennis Chambers on drums. He's good. Yeah. And Gary Granger on bass. He's good as well.
Yeah.
Brandon Woody and Adam Wakefield. I think I've heard Adam Wakefield's name, but I'm not familiar
Adam
with
and
those
I have
two.
been playing together for a long time. He's a great keyboard player. And Brandon is relatively young, up-and-coming jazz trumpet player from Baltimore, who's got an excellent record out on Blue Note himself. But yeah, Dennis and Gary, you know, I guess in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s, got really into John Scofield, and they played on a few albums with him. And then, of course, with millions of other people. But
So how did that, so we've got 6 tracks here. You can go and find this album wherever you like to stream or buy your merchandise from.
Yeah.
Where did how did you just book them? Did you just like,
well,
I need a drummer. I'll get Dennis.
I'm from that area, from the Baltimore area. Adam has also lived up there for a long time, so we go up there and play quite a bit. And we had a random gig up there, and we needed to hire a bass player, and a friend of a friend had mentioned they'd played with Gary, because he lives in the area and still plays up there all the time. And it was kind of like, well, let's try to reach out to him and call him and see if we can get him. And he showed up. It was kind of a fancy private club gig, and he showed up dressed immaculately, like in a silk suit with a hat. I mean, he looked amazing. And got up and played, we just threw him charts to tunes, and he played perfect. It was amazing. And he was the sweetest guy. And so that was sort of my introduction to Gary. And then he mentioned that him and Dennis were going to come down to Nashville to do some, do a master class and do some things with Pearl drums. And so that got the wheels turning of like, well, if they're going to be there, could we maybe book a few days in the studio? And it just came about that way. And they were so great. It was so great to work with them. But yeah, it happened really quick. And then I had to scramble to figure out what we're going to play, what tunes we're going to do. But it was an amazing experience. It was exactly how I, would want an album to happen. Just organic, all of us playing together.
Do we get to hear some? I mean, is Dennis playing blues in the pocket, or do you give him a bit of free rein?
He's definitely there's a few drum solos.
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
It's pretty eclectic, and it's definitely an ensemble record. Everybody's, we recorded it live. There's some overdubs and things and that we did later, but it's definitely 5 guys in a room playing music together. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to listening to that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much the end of our little time together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to Guildford and sharing some time with you.
Thank you so much, Lee. It's great to meet you and great to be here.
Yeah, you are firmly in the category of the kind of guitar player that I would love to be able to play like. So I definitely need to put some more hours in. But thank you for sharing some knowledge with us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. If you like this, please think about hitting the subscribe button and liking this video. And yeah, we'll be back, I'm sure, tomorrow, probably with another video. But yes, in the meantime, please, round of applause for Jack Ruch and go check him out. Thank you.